Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Alex from TCG Discussions, and we're going to come at you with the second video of the day. And I think I'm going to do this for every single like meta deck that I think that needs to be touched on the ban list, and that is how to appropriately hit these decks. So in this video, we're going to stick with the theme of black for a little bit, and we're going to talk about Vegeks. There are two ways to approach Vegeks, in my view. When it comes to nerfing it, you have to understand what makes Vegeks really stupid. Is it the burst 5? To a degree, yes. The downside is if you burst 5 cards and they're not Vegeks cards, then it really hurts. And that's happened. Every Vegeks player who's ever played the deck or played, if you play against Vegeks, sometimes they just get bad mills and it just hurts because it's like, oh, that's like 2 super combos and a negate and a couple overwhelm cards. Like, that wasn't very good. Now, obviously, Vegeks at some point will hit its cards, and this is what makes the deck really good, because if you do mill 5 and you do hit your cards, you can just see Kai, Vegeta, Unison, and Trunks just come to the board, and you're salty inside because your opponent just plus forward for no reason. They drew a card again. They awaken, do it again, and then give their leader double strike, and it's just like, well, this is going downhill very quickly, and it's pretty annoying. Vegeks also can play DMS in the main, which are Fighting Spirit, both very good 1-drops cards that help themselves awaken, put on aggressive pressure, and this is just like the perfect storm because honestly, again, we're free playing a bunch of cards and then swinging, and then we overwhelm for fighting against fate. And so the first way to address this, and I think this is the most obvious way, but I'm going to talk about why it's problematic in a second, is just outright banning the leader. And while I do agree that outright banning the leader is definitely a way to go, I don't think that banning the leader is the only thing you have to do if you're going to go this route, because personally, you just switch leaders. There are tons of burst 3 leaders that continue to burst both on their backside as well as on the front side, at least only. The first one that comes to mind is the Black Mass Saiyan leader that bursts 3 on the attack draw, and then it's going to then put 3 from the warp back in the drop. This is problematic, okay? Because what's going to happen is Vegeks players will immediately switch to that leader, period. So if you address Vegeks by banning it, the leader, which admittedly, it does need to be banned, but you don't address anything else about the deck, you have really done nothing. We've just gone to Vegeks 2.0 over here, and you're not solving the issue of that deck being a dominant deck. You just make Vegeks not even really less consistent, just have to play other cards to mill as many cards as it did before. So for example, you play Human Extinction attacks, you play the crit Vegeta that overwhelms for 3, that bursts 3 more. So if you whiffed on your first, you're technically going to mill 6 in one turn, and you're going to swing for critical, which is pretty good. And then, again, with Human Extinction attack, that's a mill 4, and then warps on your opponent's drop. So again, you're not really changing the pace at which Vegeks cards are played. You're just saying it might be slower, or it might be just as fast, or either way, because you don't care. You just don't. Which brings me to my next point. And I think that you could leave Vegeks and then do what I'm about to say. So this is the other avenue. And you just address the deck as a whole. Ban the Kai free play card. Ban it. Don't make it unique. Actually, I've thought about this. I've said this in other videos. You could make it unique, and I think it would be way more fair than what it is now. Way more fair, because if you hit 3 Kais, they're not all coming to board. If you hit 3 Vegetas or whatever. Or if you have a Kai on the board, you're incentivized to combo it right away so that future Kais getting milled go to the board. This makes a lot of sense. But it's still potentially a free 40K in your hand or on the board every game. And that's what's problematic about the card, is at a point, it just becomes combo power on top of 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 combo power, and you're left in the dust on your opponent's combo step. So it's really ridiculous. So you could ban the Kai. I think that would be doable, because it just immediately makes Vegeks or Vegeks-esque effects more fair. The second route on the banning thing that definitely needs to happen, because Vegeks abuses this card the most, is Champa or Kai. Both need to be banned. And I've been fighting for this in comment sections and in videos previously that I mentioned before. The reason these cards need to go is, quite honestly, because when you stop and take a look at how Vegeks primarily finishes their games with all their strikers, when they get you to 2, Kai and Champa, so the free play Kai and Champa is what makes everything stupid. Like everything. 1, because the unison will be double strike, so the Kai's just free ramp that. But then there's the problem of, if there's an energy open, the leader can then become Kai, double strike. And if you ban Champa and do something to the Kai, you put Vegeks, even with Mill 5, completely in check. So if you ban the Kai and you ban Champa, Vegeks loses, it keeps free play cards, but it completely loses its steam. And if you make Kai unique and ban Champa, you really keep the deck in check. Because now your double strikes are only coming really from the unison or other, overwhelm that they put on the board. Again, if they put overwhelm on the board, this means they're losing their recycle con for the Vegeks leader, which we all can agree is fair. And I think that addressing the deck in this way would be like the last straw, right? It would have to be the last straw for Vegeks if, and I do mean if, it would be the last straw if, for somehow, Vegeks still remains to be one of the top oppressive decks of the game. And I do say that it is an oppressive deck because the free play value out of Vegeks is not only hand generating, combo power generating, life taking, which is again more hand advantage. It's free play cards that just do damage. Just flat do damage. And it's really bad. Really unhealthy. And also, if you ban Kai and Champa, you still leave them with crack in space-time. And this way, every other deck is not just getting away with throwing out Champas or whatever. Which I actually might have to look into that, because that might be something that needs to be addressed for Dark Pearl. Because if you technically ban... Because if you technically banned it, I'm pretty sure it could play a crack in space-time. So it might not, I don't know. I don't know. But it's not as bad as every other deck having access to Champa and every deck having access to Kai. But this is about Vegeks. So my proposal is to walk in that direction and really try and take a look at what Vegeks does that's uber powerful other than what every other deck can already do. Like, when we talk about, nerfing Demigra, I've thought about this. I thought for a while Demigra needs to be hit. But then I realized that every deck can play it, so I'm not as mad about that. Whereas all the free play cards, like Kai, yeah, every deck can play it, but they won't see it as often as Vegeks does. Because Vegeks will see it inherently through its mill and through drawing it, or getting it from life. So it's one of those things where, that card is the key pivotal part. And I think that, when we look at, Vegeks as a leader, we're really trying to say that this deck has survived too long. So either maybe ban the leader and do the stuff with Kai and Champa. Maybe that might put other decks in check. Again, like I said, they could just move to a crack in space-time, I think, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I have to go look at the card to make sure that it's not going to be just the same thing but a replacement. It might be, but at least we're addressing major problems. And I think that this is the balanced way to approach Vegeks. Here's what you can't do if you want, things that you just can't do. You can't just ban Demigra and say, that's it. No one has access to Demigra, that's going to change anything. You can't hit Fighting Against Fate because then Man on a Mission takes its place. You just have to hit too many cards. But you could, and this is something that I thought about. This is an errata to the leader that I wanted to propose. And I'm not sure if this doesn't ipso facto just make other leaders better and you just go play them with the Vegeks stuff. But you could make it like this. The leader burst 2, draw a card. if among the top 2 cards you play a free play card, mill 2 cards that have an auto that procs that mills 2 cards for every free play card. So what does this mean? This means Vegeks can go from hitting nothing, practically, and just bursting 2 cards, to burst 2, hit another card, burst 2, hit another card, burst 2, hit another card, burst 2. So it could just increase the ceiling or drastically decrease it. And I'd make it off this leader effect only. And I'd have that on both sides. This would drastically decrease the amount of cards that you see. But when it comes to free play, and again, if we do something to Kai, something needs to be done about that card. If we do something to the Kai on top of this, it would be potentially very good or just potentially terrible. Because, like, just imagine, like, you mill a super combo and a negate off the top and you drew a card. Nothing really happened, right? But if you hit, like, a Vegeta and then you hit a Trunks and then you hit something else, it might be kind of good, right? So, like, there's some up and down potential there, and I think that, like, it would be fair. In this way, it applies only the leader effect. In this way, you make it so that other cards, like the crit Vegeta that overwhelms for 3, you make it so that that card's not all of a sudden procking the leader to be like, oh, we milled 2 more, oh, we milled 2 more, oh, we milled 2 more. You know what I'm saying? You just don't give it that consistency. But by also making everything unique, you will make them stop. And then the other thing is that because they're unique, right? If the unique cards are still on the board when the other mills come to pass, it's just way worse. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. That was my proposal for, like, Vegeks. There's a few things in there for you. I think that all in all, overall, there are things you can do to Vegeks. You could just ban it. And I think if you do, though, you're not really solving what makes Vegeks Vegeks. Because, again, they are going to move to other leaders. And they still might just move to other leaders if you do that Vegeks nerf. But it gives Vegeks some playability and some upper limit and lower limit potential. And I think that also, you know, you take a look at other leaders, they're still just probably going to be stronger, but they're not Vegeks. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. This is Alex from TCG Discussions, signing off.